Evening, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another evening of the Creators One news broadcast. And tonight you're here with El Blanco, and we're in the business studio. So this is Creators One business news segment for January 23rd, 2025. Going on, would it be 3 years? Would it be, or 4 years for her? Which would be Rox? Would it be 4 years or 3 years? Because, I came in on the late boat.
Am I 3 years?
Okay, going on 3 years. It started out as Meta News, and now we are Creators One News. Didn't want to sit on that Meta name too long since that no, that name is copyrighted. So, as you've been coming to my segments for all this time, I started out with a business plan. I started out with like a full 13 week working on the business plan, teaching people each section of the business plan, what it meant, and I even offered to help people do their business plan along the way. Since I've been here, I've been doing private consultations for those who wanted it, who used it. Very few did. And I found out that a lot of people don't know law. So, being that recently, Isha Tushai's world was one of her worlds was taken down, and she was banned, and also she's been put on a what you call a watch list or some type of flag list, right? So let me tell you a little bit about Isha Tushai's work, and she's very popular in here for her type of work. So they pretty much know what she does. But she deals with romance, intimacy, and things like that. So she has those very nice worlds that people like to go and just hang in together. So hang in with their close ones and whatnot. So if you know anything about her past work, she has some sexual type content, but she does it in art form. Like she had a pure seduction, which was shower scenes, but she didn't use realistic body characters. She just used nothing but round objects and things like that. So there was nothing really lewd about any of that other than the positions. So as Horizon decided to start making us notify them before we build the world, before we publish the world. They want us to start notifying them that if they're going to have any type of adult content, sexual content, things like that. So, she followed the rules. She did those things, right? And that means it lets certain people know that if you're 18, you can't come into these worlds and whatever mechanisms they may have. That keeps the adults separated from the children, right? So all of these precautions was taken and all these things were made. But in this case, they kept taking her world down while she was in build mode, and it's a world that we had planned to do a grand opening on about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, right? So we actually did the promos and everything, and everybody was looking forward to the world coming out. But they was unpublishing the world, and they sent her a notice that she was banned. So now, why am I talking about this? Well, Isha Tushai is my partner, so my brand is El Blanco Brands, and whenever you see a joint project with us, you'll see Scorpion and I, or you'll see just Pure Designs on the shot. So, okay, we're partners. So that's one thing. Number two, I handle things when it comes to law. Period. I don't play no games with nobody, not even the government, because the government they recognize the law too. They legislate the law, they enforce the law, they tell you what the law is, and they maintain the law.
So
So
put
do I.
yourself on.
So,
Yeah.
therefore, we're going to talk about the law as it pertains to this digital
Who?
platform now. Okay. So, for the people in the audience, we're
Oh,
broadcasting at this point. So, if you're going to
You
talk to
talking
each
about
other,
me?
please go to bill mode. Go to a private mode. Can't talk out loud during the broadcast, sir. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, here we go. I want everybody to pay
Cause
close
you
attention,
pointed me
right?
out
Because
like,
this is
no,
what
you.
people tend to. Okay. Get her attention. Yeah. So, this is what people don't know about this platform, right? So let's say you came into Horizon Worlds, right? Let's say you built the world, right? And the world got so popular that somebody wanted to spend $1 trillion on it. This is a hypothetical thing because I really want to get your attention when I start talking about the legal side. Now you built the world, right? Know that you own the world because the majority of people that come on the platform say, "Oh, anytime you publish something, Horizon World owns it. You don't even own this stuff, right?" And so somebody behind the scenes, if they smarter than you, will take the world and they will get that world sold off and to whoever wanted to buy it for $1 trillion. They got $1 trillion. They think it'll go $1 trillion for the next 20 years, and you be out some money because you didn't know that you have property rights. So you have a property interest in a digital creation that you created. So this is why we have to talk about things like this, because people forever was coming in here arguing with me, regardless of if I was telling them where to go read it. Look in the you can look in the agreement right here on the headset. You can read this stuff. But the thing is, we don't all study law and we don't understand legal terminology, and that's why we all typically go to attorneys because of that fact. So you don't have that problem no more because you have AI. You can take that whole contract and put it into a large language module and say, tell me in layman's terms, right, what this is saying, what should I be concerned about, what gives me obligations, and what gives me the advantages in this contract. You can do things like that. Simple as that now, because you have the tools out here for that, right? Um, you can go even further, right? Once it tells you what it tells you, now you can take it in sections. You can say, elaborate on this section. And then you'll know it like the back of your hand, like we did when we came up through school, when we started in the kindergarten and came up to the 12th grade. We learned once we really got a handle on something, we were very confident for whatever the next level was learning would be. But until we, got past a certain part we were stuck on, we didn't have that confidence. Now, so why is it so important, right, to learn law if everybody else is not talking about learning law? They just think it's something that belongs to attorneys, right? Simply because people are going to take advantage of you as long as you don't know. It's going to happen all day long, every single day of your life, and it does right now. So, excuse me. In this situation, she was unpublished and she was banned. Okay. So, this is what I hear a lot of. I don't like it. It gets under my skin. Well, you know how it is in Horizon. Anybody that don't like you, or anybody that don't want you to be successful, they just report you. And once they report you, Horizon don't even investigate it. They just ban you. And if you don't do anything about it, you just ban. Okay, well, people believe that's just the way it go. So when I tell you they can't do that, I'm telling you they can't do that because it's against the law. But they will do it because if you don't know the law and they know, listen to everything you do. You got all this social media. They can pretty much profile you, engage you, and they know to what extent they can do to most of you guys because they know what your level of competency is when it comes to things like this. And they'll do what they want to, whatever they want to do. So I'm gonna tell you exactly how it works. And if you uh uh take a step forward when something happens to you like this, then you will be making a change, not because you're making a change for the public good. You'll be making a change because you will hit them so hard in their pockets and they wouldn't have no way out, that somebody gonna get fired, somebody's head gonna get rolled. They're gonna cost their shareholders money because you're gonna do something like this. So here's how the scenario really goes. We're gonna go with the scenario that I hear from everybody saying. We're gonna say somebody didn't like you for some odd reason, and they went and reported your world and gave a false report, and they just banned you right off that report. Somebody banned you, right? And you didn't get anything other than a notice that we banned you. And when they said they banned you for a reason that they said violated the policy, but they didn't specify a reason. They didn't specifically say what the reason was in order for you to look at the reason and see if they did something wrong or not. They say, oh, well, you can appeal, though. You can appeal. You can appeal this issue or whatever the case may be. Well, that's not how the law works, right? The law works like this. If you have ownership to something or ownership right into something, no one can separate you from your ownership right without it costing them because they have not deprived you of property. Fourth Amendment, constitutional. This is a big one. This ain't down here on the state level. Constitutional. You can't deprive anyone for their private property without just compensation. So your property is intellectual in here. It's digital property. So you have an intellectual property, you have digital property. It don't have to be real property like a house. It don't have to be personal property like a car. It's still property. So if you mess with my property and you do it and say it's based on these rules, oh, you better tell me specifically and precisely what rule you're talking about, number one, before you even take action, because you know what that means? You did not give someone due process. another big thing in law. Everybody must have due process, but not that you're going to get it automatically. That means you must assert your right so that they don't violate due process. But if they violate due process, they got problems because the only thing you're going to do is on a civil side, not a criminal side, on the civil side, because with criminals, on the criminal side of the law, the criminal requires you to show beyond a reasonable doubt that someone committed a crime because due process works differently to protect someone from false allegations. On the civil side, all that you got to do is show us a likelihood that they violated the law, a likelihood that they did, right? So if in this case it's not a likelihood, it's absolute because they sent you something, admitted it in writing to you through an email and said we did this to you because we got a report, right? And a person like me be like, yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna give you 10 days to state under penalty of perjury by sworn affidavit that I did this, I did that, and da 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 da, and you have 10 days to respond. If you don't, you'll be at fault. And I'm gonna charge you a certain amount of money, right? If you can't do that, and you if you cannot state a relief, we call it state a claim for relief. So if you can't state a claim by which relief can be granted, you lose. Oh, who is this guy? They're gonna laugh at you. They're gonna, oh, he can't do nothing. He just one of those whatever, right? They're gonna laugh at you, right? But when you present them with that properly and you make your statement with a sworn affidavit, notarized, that means it's recognized by the state. You have now made it a legal instrument, especially if you take it down to recorder's office and it falls under that jurisdiction of the county, which preserved all your rights, even if the state want to take the claim on it. Because when you go to a state court or anything like that, right? And I'm not talking about going to a state court right now, but when you go to a state court, you're giving them what they call jurisdiction. You're giving them jurisdiction to have the discretion to determine who they're going to side with. 9 times out of 10, the state normally they side with the corporations if it's not something because the corporations are part of the state because the corporations are incorporated into the state. But I'm just saying that because I don't typically do stuff with the state. I take my stuff to the top. I go to the United States. So if I find out that you violated me, I'm gonna make sure that that violation fit under one of those constitutional issues or a federal law. Because then the federal government gets direct jurisdiction, and now you're not dealing with the state. You're dealing with constitutional guarantees that they sworn to defend if you properly invoke them, and it's over with. And when I say it's over with, you're not going there trying to do like on television, fighting this, fighting that, fighting that. You're going in there saying, hey, I need a summary judgment. Here's all the facts. It ain't no facts in dispute. I want a summary judgment that this took place. And all they're going to do is say it did or it didn't by looking at the evidence, right? And once it happens that it did, they did or they didn't. In this case, they did. Now you have a claim over here. You already proved civilly that they did this, and now your claim is me. I'm gonna probably hit you with $100,000. Period. My rights are important to me. My rights are important. I'm gonna hit you with 100,000 or more, right? That's gonna be the penalty, right? So 9 times out of 10, when you get once you get that judgment from the federal government, it's a judgment. They know they stuck with that amount, and what they want to do is they want to settle now. They do anything they can to settle and reduce the liability because that liability is going to cost them. It may cost them their job. It may cost their shareholders. All these shareholders that's put money into Horizon Worlds. It may cost them that. They don't want to do that. They'll try to give you all kind of concessions, and they'll try to settle. Look, we won't even do this and that, and we'll give you this, and they'll settle out with you. Let's take it the hard way. Let's say they play hardball. Let's say, okay, well, then you got to take us back to court to collect. Let's say they say something like that. Well, just because y'all don't know, I'm going to tell you. Anytime you have a judgment based on something that took place that it established you had a right to something and you bill them a certain amount or you charge them with a certain amount, all you do is file a lien. And that type of lien can be bought on the bond market. People will buy that lien. They'll buy it for 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar, whatever the case may be. And if you're even more savvy, you don't even have to sell it to nobody for no discount just to get cash right then and there. It's an asset now. It's a judicial. It's an order that has been adjudicated by the court. So you can use that as collateral. So you can use that to say, hey, I want to do this project, and I got a decision. I got a settlement right here worth $100,000. Can I use that as a collateral to borrow against? Let me get $100,000 and borrow against this instrument. Yeah, now banks do that because banks gonna take that $100,000 deposit and they're gonna times 10 that now. So I'm just sharing these things with y'all because I know I get too far into things. I get to talking long winded and go along. But bottom line is, they took her world down without due process. They took action against her first. They didn't investigate. They didn't find out if it was true or not. So if somebody didn't like it and reported her world and was vindictive, or that person who reported the world had a friend up in the high layers of horizon that is part of the management or oversight, yeah, they could have just did some old shady stuff. Regardless of how they did it, Horizon World didn't give a due process. Due process comes first. If you don't give due process, it's easy to show that in court. All you gotta do is go get on AI, and ask AI, according to the federal rules of civil procedure. According to the federal rules of civil procedure, tell me when this action took place and this didn't happen based on this situation that you type in there, did they violate my due process? And it's going to tell you yes, it's going to tell you how, it's going to tell you it's going to tell you what court has already what federal court has already ruled on the topic. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, great. Tell me six more. You can ask for it more. It'll keep giving you cases on your situation. You can learn all about it. Okay, then how do I get a remedy? Right? That's a question you ask it. How do I get my legal remedies for something like this? Then it'll give you an outline. Well, you're gonna have to write a petition to the federal court and jurisdiction. You have to follow their rules, and you're gonna go through this process, and you got to gather your information, which is basically following the federal rules of civil procedure. Because if you're going to use evidence, it's going to tell you what the rules to the evidence is. If you're going to do the petition, it's going to tell you how it has to be written. If you're asking for a remedy, it's going to tell you how that remedy must be asked for so that you're doing the right thing. So it ain't that easy as I make it sound because I've been doing this for years, but that's normally how it goes. So to sum it up, because we try not to get too long winded in here. To sum it up, you have what you call intellectual rights. Well, you have all kind of rights, but in here you have digital property rights. You have an interest in this digital property that you create. You have an interest in it, right? An interest is like saying what equity is in a house. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's there. Only way you can touch it if you sign documents to negotiate the exchange for it or the trade for it or the whatever. You're going through some type of legal contractual documentation so that you can take that instrument and that instrument reflects something that someone's promising to do, someone's guaranteeing it, someone's backing it, so it can be generated and given to a intermediary that they call a bank, some type of bank that will print the funds up for that deposit of that instrument because they're going to negotiate that instrument and they'll pull that money, they'll print that money or send for that money from the higher banks to come and fulfill this obligation of a demand payment based on this kind. You can do what you want to do. So you have a interest, a digital property interest in whatever you create. You are the owner. Horizon World only has non-exclusive use of whatever you make. They can do what they want with it. They got exclusive use. It's not exclusive use, it's non-exclusive use, but they have an exclusive use that is not exclusive to you. That's all that means. It's still using the word exclusive, but it's saying none. So that means you really own it. And Horizon World threatens to shut this down. You go, oh, what I'm going to do? Well, I won't have no house. I won't have no world anymore. No, they're gonna give you the opportunity, like they did Allspace. They're gonna make sure that they followed all that federal rules, law to the T, and make sure they gave everybody the instructions to know how and to go to and a time to grab all their stuff and download all their stuff onto a database, so they can take that to wherever else they want to go if they want to start building again or take that same concept and expand that concept because they have a digital property interest in it. So I was telling people from the beginning. Yeah, they don't want to do that to me, y'all. Because I'm gonna make an example out of them. And just like I'm on here talking right now, I've been talking like this forever here in Horizon. Horizon took some stuff down before with us. You know what I'm saying? They done quite a few things, but I don't. It wasn't nothing that I'm concerned about. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not putting my blood and tears into building like all these creators are. This is art. This is a lot. You know what I'm saying? This is a lot. Matter of fact, this is the backbone of this place. So this is why you know the builders, the creators should know about law, especially when it comes to this. So that's what it is, y'all. So I'm El Blanco. This is Creators One Business News. We're part of the Creators One News news cast team. And once again, it's Thursday night, January 23rd. Thank you for being here. We're gonna be here next Thursday. All right, that's it.
Success.
Yeah.
Success.
All right, let me jump over, step on her toes. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Hope.